guys. Good timing. Happy New Year, friends, family, BSH family. Thank you for joining us today here at BSH, Business Spiritual Healing Online, from all over the world, all over the United States, with the sunshine here coming, sharing the light with you all, literally. The light of love, the light of God, the light of education. And we are very excited to start 2024 with our moment together, the moment of educating our spirits, educating ourselves, with the goal to evolve, to learn more about ourselves, our mission, uh, the teachings of Jesus Christ, and Spiritism. So together we shall begin our meeting. Before I share more about the announcements and the new agenda for 2024, very exciting topics of study, I would like to invite our dear sister Tanya from Florida to say an opening prayer for us, please.
Thank you. So thank you everybody for being here, sharing this amazing opportunity with each other. God has blessed us coming through this year and gathering together under this wonderful sun, the Son of God, that is the sun that manifests its light to each of us as our Lord Jesus Christ. Let us, beloved brothers and sisters, connect our hearts and our mind with the Son of God, our Lord Jesus Christ. Let us visualize this beautiful sun rising over us, shine its light into our minds and hearts. Beloved Lord Jesus Christ, humbly honoring, gratefully, we thank you. Thank you for blessing us in this new year of 2024. Bless our mind to be opening with the spirit of wisdom and intelligence, with light, so our intellect can be opening to understand the divine love that God has manifested through you. Let our heart to be kind, to be happy, to be joyful, to understand, to assimilate its messages of love through you, beloved Lord Jesus Christ. In every and each of these new days, in this new 12 months that is opening to receive us, let the letter of God and its love manifest its divine rules of light, peace, harmony, intelligence, and love to all of us. Let us embrace one another, not just here in the physical matter, but in the whole cosmos, in the whole planet, and all the spirits that have lived here before and have evolved and is still here to help us to progress. Let us unite with them, our mind and hearts. So these beloved benefactors of divine light, of divine wisdom and divine love, manifest your will, Heavenly Father, into the matter that we are living today. Bless our dear sister Kiki, who came with this brilliant, blissful idea and message to share throughout the year, the message of the Spirit, the Spirit's book. And that introduction that her mentors and the spiritual mentors of this group and our individual mentors have brought us to unite today. Let this message find this divine gardening that we have sowing and preparing the soil to receive its seeds. The seeds of intellectuality, the seeds of love, the seeds of life, a spiritual eternity life. With gratitude, asking you, Heavenly Father, Lord Jesus Christ, Dr. Bezerra de Menezes, and all the benemerito spirits, we ask for guidance, protection, and illumination to all. We are honoring opening our beautiful service of 2024 in January 7th. And so be it, and so it is. Thank you. Thank you.
So it is. Thank you, Tanya, for such a beautiful, heartfelt opening prayer. We couldn't start our year, friends, better than this. Together, with the goal to evolve, to learn, and to support each other. And it's so beautiful to see all of us together here online, and maybe later for those who are going to watch the recording on BSH on YouTube. And for those who are new to our meeting, welcome, and welcome everybody who is familiar, who is coming every Sunday to spend some time with us, time for our heart, for our spirit, and our friends, Descarnates, that also joining us. Bezerra Spiritual Healing Center meets throughout the week, and I will share with you the announcement very shortly. And we believe in Spiritism. We study the doctrine of Allan Kardec. And especially today, it's the mark of a new beginning because we'll be studying the Spiritism book. And Kiki is going to be doing the opening of the study. So, for you to understand better, we have every Sunday our online meeting, and it's in two parts. It's divided in two parts. The first part is um, the study of a subject or a topic, and after that we are going to have a short intermission, and the second part is what we call the hands-on healing. We're going to have a beautiful meditation, and I do ask you to stay if you can, because it's such a beautiful and blessing moment for the connection with your mentors, and for, if you're here representing someone who is sick, who is in need of love and healing, please do stay with us. And speaking of opportunities to meet, I'm going to go ahead and share my screen, the brand new agenda of 2024. We are very excited about the studies that are coming up. I hope you can see my screen. Beautiful. So as you can see, from Monday to Sunday, uh, mostly for the most part of the week, we're going to have meetings. So on Monday, we have an internal meeting, but on Tuesday, we have a meeting here with the book study group at Divine Light from 6:30 p.m. PST. And of course, we have a daily prayer every day at 6 p.m. PST. You are more than welcome to join us, even if you have one single minute, even if you can join on Zoom, but you can stop to dedicate 1 minute of silence, of prayer, or affirmation to those in need, for your family, for your community. So, very important we are united in spirit throughout a prayer. On Wednesday, personal transformation, 6:30 to 7:30. And there is also a very important moment for those who are in need of fraternal assistance. You can coordinate a time with us here, but normally it goes from 4 to 7 p.m. Pacific, but it depends on the need, the urgency. We can schedule a time that works for you. So we'll try to accommodate. On Thursday, Living Spring at 6:30 p.m. And there is a date that you need to watch. We're going to be sharing as well in our newsletter, as well as in our bsh.org website, where you can find detailed information about the classes. And then today we are starting with the spirit education, and then at 6:30 p.m. and life goes on with the study book with the divine light. In other words, there are plenty of opportunities. Hopefully that you can accommodate your schedule. You know, life gets busy, uh, but however you can join us to give yourself the opportunity to expand, to learn, to evolve. You are welcome to always join us. Beautiful. Now, as I mentioned before, the first session here is the education piece, and we always have a guest speaker, whether it's one of us here being a part of the BSH family or some special guests that come and share their knowledge, they shed the light. And it's such an important piece of our meeting today. And today we have our dear Kiki. We call her Kiki. Her name is Christiane, but you know, we love her so much. And Kiki is just a lovely form to express our gratitude for her. Kiki is a member of the BSH family. She is also a mom of baby girl Livia, whom I am dying to meet in person. She also has Bolata, her dog, that we also miss him so much. She has a beautiful family, and she is learning every single day. I know that Kiki was raised in a spiritist family that taught her the study of the gospel since she was a little girl. While working on her inner transformation, Kiki seeks opportunities to serve and to put into action lessons taught by Jesus and the good spirits. Her mantra is accept with gratitude, believe with conscience, work with love. Kiki is a member of the Bezerra Spiritual Healing Center and the secretary of the BSH Board of Directors. Without further ado, I ask you to help me welcome Kiki. And please, Kiki, the stage is yours, and I know all the spirits are with you to enlighten you and to share the knowledge with us. Thank you so much.
Amen. Thank you, sister. May I be a good ventriloque. That's what I always say. Let me, I just want to share this in a way that I can see also my notes. Yeah. So hopefully you are all being able to see the slide, the full slide, right? Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Awesome. So,
Yeah.
all right, sister. Um, please, anyone who wants to chime in, bring any questions or anything, please feel free to do so. But as Adriana was saying, this year we are going to study the Spirits book along the year, and it's not going to be a proper study book as we did, I think, last year or not. No, oh my gosh, 2 or 3 years ago already. Time flies. But it's going to be more in a sense of what the questions are bringing, what type of reflections the questions are bringing to us. And I think that this is one of the biggest things for us, especially during the Sunday. Um, those who are studying Spiritism for a while is more likely to be familiar with this book. For those who have started this journey recently, this is one of the most important books in the Spiritism study. And in the next slides, we will learn why. But before we go there, I wanted to start with something that Allan Kardec tells us in the Gospel according to Spiritism, chapter 17, where he reminds us about very important things. So he says that the true spiritist can be recognized by their moral transformation and by the efforts they employ in order to dominate the bad instincts. While one is content with a limited horizon, the other, who understands that better things exist, makes every effort to liberate him and always manage to do this when their desire is strong and true. Now, I want us to reflect and absorb this a little bit. But starting with the importance of the moral transformation. Meaning that even if we claim to know the content of the book that we are going to study, discussing it and reflecting it over and over is always going to be an imperative exercise for us to keep working on the transformation that our soul is still requiring for us to ascend to higher realms. The other thing that Allan Kardec brings to us is about the domination of the bad instincts. We all bring it, right? Like we are still evolving. And with that evolution, we still have passion and vices that we might be very much aware of, or we might not be so much aware. But this constant work for us to dominate, to overcome, hopefully get rid of all those bad instincts is a constant effort. Therefore, if we can stay really focused on understanding what reflection we can get with every question of this book, I think this is how we will be able to succeed and accomplish what the mentors have suggested us to do. And the good thing about the Spirit's book is that the book will tell us what to look for and why, mostly why. So then this will help us to widen our horizons, as he is saying here. The gospel will bring us the how, but I think that the Spirit's book will bring the what and the why. What are we doing here? Why things are the way that they are, and so on and so on. So when we start thinking about like how we can use this as a reflection or as a starting point for our transformation, Allan Kardec again says that Spiritism is a science that deals with the nature, origin, and destiny of the spirits and the relationship with the corporal world. So if we are saying that our goal is to work on our inner transformation, and the Spiritism helps us to understand our nature, the origin, the destiny, and this relationship, the Spirit's book is not going to be able to help us in this total transformation by itself. It is one of the most important ones, but there is these three big pillars that Allan Kardec and the spirits on high brought to us. And then the first one is here, the Spirit's book. Let me take the laser one, the Spirit's book. And this will bring about the philosophical thoughts about the Spiritism. As I said, the whats and the whys, all the questions are in there. And then the Spirits tells us the answers, so then we serene our heart and work on our transformation. But there is another book, there is more related to the morals. It's related to the how. It brings the gospel according to Spiritism. So in this book, Allan Kardec brings the lessons from Jesus and all the disciples. And there is almost, translation is not the right word, but there is, oh my gosh, what is the word that I'm looking for? The interpretation from the spirits on high. So in addition to everything that we already see from the Bible, we also see the interpretation from the spirits on high. So there is an additional content here that helps us on this moral transformation, that helps us with the how. And then we also have the medium's book, which is exactly understanding the science, how to communicate with the spirits, how this relationship happens, and how we can exercise that better for us to be more mindful about this communication that we constantly have, no matter who we are. If we say that we are gifted with open mediumship, guess what? We all are under the influence of the spirits, the good and the bad. So the medium's book help us all not only to understand how to better fine tune our thoughts to the good spirits, but also how to better understand the messages that are coming from the spiritual world. So those are the three most important books. But as I said, the Spirit's book is the backbone of the Spiritism study. It serves as the baseline for all the doctrinal books. And it is interesting because this is the first book that Allan Kardec and the Spirits wrote. And it is made of questions and answers. And we are talking about more than 1,000 questions. And the way that it was written is extremely interesting because and we are going to talk about like how it all started, but every week Allan Kardec would send a question for the spirits, but he wouldn't send it only for one group of medium. He would send it for many mediums in many different countries, and then he would receive the answers and analyze all of them to understand those who were similar and those who were not. Those who were very far away from the core of the message coming from most of the spirits would be disregarded. And this is one of the ways that he ensured that the book is bringing the truthful of all the questions that were made. The book is, I am using this one, and in the next slide, we're going to talk about all the others. There is just one book, but this is also, the book is divided into 3 books. So inside of it, they say that book 1 or part 1 talks about the first causes. So it's all where is the beginning of everything. Then book 2 or part 2 is going to talk a lot about the spirit world, what to expect, what is how many worlds exist, what is their characteristics, how to go there, and all that kind of stuff. What is the hierarchy? There's a lot of very good information about the spirit world, and then the essence of the spirit, extremely interesting. And then the third part, or book 3, talks about the moral laws. It's really interesting because more than once we've heard that the moral laws are all written in our heart, right? And in our conscience. So if we are ever in doubt, and this is something that my mom taught me since I was very little, if you are in doubt, listen to your intuition. First, don't do it. And second, listen to your intuition, because you will know what to do. And deep inside, we know. And if we don't, we have here resources. So in the third part, we have all the moral laws that are explaining what are, how not to fail, right? And Jesus also helped us. Again, if we are in doubt, apply the golden rule. Do unto others what you would wish them to do unto you, and we will never fail. But we have again the moral laws in there. What type of questions can we see in this book? What is God? Where can the proof of God's existence be found? What is the spirit? Are there spirits who help and support each side fighting in a battle, for instance? What should we understand as purgatory? And so on. So it is really interesting because Allan Kardec has started all these questions that we all have about a new concept. So this is a book that was written in 18, oh my gosh, I forgot it. I have it somewhere. 1867, but I will not go there. So 1867, and the concept as it was brought by the Spirit was something new. So he wanted to explore that and truly understand, what does that mean? What are the implications of this new concept that is being brought to us? What does it mean? So there are a lot of interesting questions in there. And one of the things that we should keep in mind when thinking about this book is that it's not, we talk a lot about Allan Kardec, right? Because Allan Kardec was the one who led all this codification. However, this has not happened only because of him. So again, he is the person that channeled, and he was able to orchestrate all the work that had to happen. But this information is spread from pole to pole. It's not something that was specifically given to Allan Kardec. And it was brought through many different mediums. So mediums that Allan Kardec knew himself, mediums that were not so close related to him, but people all over the world that were receiving the answers from the spirits were being able to participate in this. So again, it does not only depend in one single person. Because of that, of course, there's no nationality. So even though it started in France, we can see that in many places all over the world, literally, we had people participating and working on codifying the spiritism. It does not stem from any known religion specifically. Of course, that Jesus Christ is still the role model, but it does not necessarily stem from a specific religion. It doesn't have any social class. So again, it is for everyone. And another interesting aspect of the spiritism is that it is transmitted gradually by enlightened spirits. So the analogy that I want to make to us is we are children learning all of this. So it's not that the high spirituality can throw on us all the information for us to understand absolutely everything, because we still need to work on the foundations of the spirited. So the more that we learn, the more is going to be presented to us. So as we started this as the spiritism, the study of the spiritism initiative started in 1850. Nowadays we have additional information. So it's not that we have things contradicting with what we have in here, but again, this is going to be the foundation for everything. If you do not have the book, go ahead and go to the United States Spiritist Federation website. They have here a piece called resources, and then under resources you have a PDF of all the 5 basic books that Allan Kardec wrote. I mentioned these 3 here, which are the pillars of the spiritism, but we also have the Genesis and Heaven and Hell, which are also extremely important for the study of spiritism. But if you just click in here, you will find the PDF for the spirits book. So follow along us. I would highly encourage you, if you have not started, please do start reading again the spirits book, so then we can have good discussions here. And also, as always, please bring your questions. If for whatever reason you read something and it's not making sense, or you're not understanding, or you want to have further discussion, this is the place for us to discuss. We are here in a safe environment where we can all ask, we can all share, and we can even ask for the spirits on high if there is still in doubt. I'm sure we will have someone to help us. So the book starts with a preface to the New English edition, and this comes from the US Spiritist Council, where we have many versions of the book. So as I said, it was written in 1857, so long ago, right? Like more than 150 years ago. Imagine not only the concept, how the concepts evolved, but also our vocabulary, right? So one thing that we must keep in mind is that it was first written in 1857 with that I won't say narrow-minded, but still not so explored understanding of the spiritism and the whole spiritual world. The vocabulary also evolved a lot, and also there is the translation thing, right? So again, that's why it is important that whatever version of book you have, the core message is and should always be the same. But if you find any difference or anything that you wanted to discuss, by all means, bring it. That's why we are all here studying together. Cool. So now let's start with the content itself. It all starts with the introduction to the study of the Spiritism. And Allan Kardec, of course, under the coordination from the spirits on high, he starts here reminding us again about the words or lack of words that we have in our world. So they say that new words would be needed to convey all the new ideas that they wanted to bring. So because of that, a couple of very important things needs to be very clear for us, not only to better understand the Spirit's book, but also for us to now be able to criticize in a good way, but to judge, to better judge other books from this doctrine, because depending on when the book was written or the meaning of the word that the author is trying to bring, it might or might not match with what the spirits are bringing. So the first thing is, they say that spiritualism is the opposite of materialism, right? So what we are saying here is the spiritualism says that believes that there is more than the matter, there is more than the body. But it doesn't mean that every spiritualism studies believe in the continuation of life or believe in the communication with the spirits or even the existence of the spirits. So because of that, they suggest that we avoid using the term spiritual and spiritualism for the study that we are doing. Of course, we use the spiritual world and everything, but just again, thinking in 1857 and how the new concepts came, they wanted to make very clear the difference between those who believe that there is more than matter and those who believe that besides there is more than matter, there is a spirit that you can communicate with. And for the belief on the spirits that exist and we can communicate with them, they suggest that we use the terminology spiritist and spiritism. Again, for the purpose of the study that not only believe on the existence of the spirits, but also that we are able to communicate with them. Any questions? We are still together. Nobody's sleeping yet. We're good. Okay. The other concept that they wanted to bring here very clear is about the soul. And this only soul itself has at least three different understanding. And here I brought just one. But the first understanding of soul at that time is that soul was the principle of an organic life, regardless of what body we're saying, if it's a plant or an animal or anything. But the concept of the soul in this case is that it does not exist without the life of the body, meaning that the soul is an effect, not a cause. So this is one concept. The second concept is the soul as a principle of intelligence. And in this case, the idea of this concept is that it continues as a one single force after the death of the body. So this second understanding, or I will say that the second meaning of the soul does not propose the individuality of the soul. The third concept, and the one that we are going to use in the whole study of the book, is the soul as a moral being that will preserve its individuality after the death of the body. Thus, the soul in this case is a cause, not an effect. And to make things easier for the spirits to explain whenever they had to mention any of these three different meanings, they proposed new ways of saying the same thing. So one is what they call vital principle. So the vital principle would be similar to what we were saying, meaning number one, which is the material and organic life that is common to all living beings, from plants to humankind. So instead of calling it soul, we would call it vital principle. The second concept, the one that we are talking about, the principle of intelligence, they are calling here vital soul. So the vital soul is the principle of material life, meaning all organic beings as well. So in this case, we are seeing again one single force for everyone. It's a vital soul. Then what, sorry, this is not the number two. This is one of the concepts. The number two, as I was saying, is the intellectual soul. The intellectual soul would be the principle of intelligence. And this principle of intelligence, based on what the spirits tell us, is regarding to animals and humans, not necessarily still as individuals, but still as a principle of intelligence. And then the spiritual soul, which is going to be soul as we study here in the book, as a principle of individuality after the death of body, and this is pertaining only to humans. The animals still do not have their individuality, but humans do, and this is the biggest difference. That's why we relate to this one as spiritual soul. And this is only the most important topics that I brought from chapters 1 and 2 from the introduction. We do have even more if you want to take a look on those, but these are the ones that I wanted to bring here for to be fresh on our mind. Again, any question, please stop me. Anything you wanted to add, feel free to stop. Then on the following chapters, from chapter 3 to 5, Allan Kardec tells us how we ended up here. Like, how did we end up having a book? So he shows us the progressive series that gave birth to Spiritism. So just in terms of timeline here, in 1848, around that time, we had here in the United States the Fox sisters that told that they were being able to communicate with spirits, right? So that's when all this conversation with the spirits started. And then a couple of years later, around 1852, a weird phenomena started happening in many places, in special in France. But it started with what we call the table turning or table tipping. Many places would claim that they could communicate with spirits because the spirits would, the tables would do something. They would either turn, or they would tip, or they would float. Something would happen with the table, and it wasn't a specific physical action. Because of that physical action, everybody was even thinking that was, that was a fraud. People were like, oh, maybe people were doing this just to call attention or to get money, because there were shows and concerts for people. Hey, come here, kind of a circus situation. But then it evolved a little bit. So because of that, the scientists were not giving much attention, because the other thing too is that this phenomena was not easily reproduced. But the other interesting thing is that even if anyone tried to replicate, not always the tables would do the same thing as I was just mentioning. So it's not that all the spirits would do the same effect on the table. So it's not that it will always turn either to one side or another, or it will tilt or do whatever. Something would happen, but for some reason, it was not able to replicate exactly the same. So because it was not able to replicate exactly the same, someone, and Allan Kardec, started asking why. What is behind all of this? Is there an intelligent power? What is this power? Is this a superhuman? What is it? So as Allan Kardec and researchers started to understand how to better communicate, they were able to evolve the way that we were communicating with the spirits, right? So it started with a sound, and a sound would mean one letter, and then the other two sounds would mean the other. Can you imagine how long it would take for the spirits to answer one single question? So the questions were very narrowed to yes or no. But as they wanted more, the spirits suggested to put a pen in a basket and allow the basket to happen with the hands on top of the basket. So it was already a progression, right? So it started working through the basket. It was easier, more convenient, it was faster. But then they noticed that some mediums would have this strong need of holding the pen by themselves, and they were able to start writing not necessarily what they thought, but something was writing as if it was using their hands. It was strong, it was an involuntary impulse, and it was very often followed by a very intense speed. So the experience was gradually changing, right? And it also showed that some people had this mediumistic faculty to enable not only understanding what was coming from the spirits, but also being able to replicate the handwriting of each spirit. So Allan Kardec and the other researchers were able to see, and sometimes they were able to even correlate the messages from the same spirit from different mediums because they had the same handwriting. Now, imagine all of this happening in 1857, extremely different, some things still unknown. And Allan Kardec started working on many questions, from abstract to scientific questions, and they were all able to bring answers. And for those who do not know, Allan Kardec was a mathematician, and he knew how to make like important researches. So he knew when the answers were making sense. One very interesting thing that Allan Kardec did to avoid receiving answers that were not coming from spirits that were not spirits on high was the language. And this is something that it's very strong, not only in the spirits book, but you also see that in the mediums book, that the language that is used by the spirits on high is extremely polite, very concise, with ideas. They do not need many words to say what they are looking for. However, if a spirit is still under progression, and sometimes they are even trying to, diminish the work, they will just try elaborate ideas, full of words and etc., and not necessarily being straightforward to the point. So this is a very interesting tip that Allan Kardec tells us, and even the spirits on high tell us. And then moving forward, there are some very specific things that the spirits bring to us even before we start asking all the questions. And I wanted to bring here again some of those for our reflection. We won't have time for us to dedicate too much to think about all of this, but I wanted to bring some important ones. So the critical points of spiritism is regarding to God. God is eternal, absolute, immaterial, unique, all-powerful, supremely just and good. Period. This is what the Spirit tells us, that God is all of this. And again, if we stop and reflect, what does it mean that God is eternal? There is no beginning, there is no end. And we being part of God, we are also eternal. God is supremely just and good. So if we are going through a situation in our life that might make us doubt if God really loves us, this is already telling us that yes, God is extremely just and good. Therefore, this is the foundation for us to understand everything else in terms incarnation and so on. God has created the universe, which comprises all beings, animate and inanimate, material and immaterial, which also reminds us that everything has a purpose. Everything, since the small stone, since one small sand till our conscience. So everything was created by God, therefore everything has its purpose and its importance. In terms of world, the spiritual world is the normal, original, and eternal world, pre-existing and surviving everything else. So again, it's reminding us that the earth, or the earth as we know in here, this material earth, is not necessarily the beginning of everything, but it's probably the after the spiritual world, and is where we will probably come back after our body dies. As they say, the physical world is only secondary. It could cease to exist or never have existed, and this would have no effect on the essence of the spiritual world. Again, showing that those are two separate things. In terms of body and soul, they say that a human being is made up of three things. One, the body, or material being, similar to animals and animated by the same vital principle. Again, the importance of us understanding the vital principle. So remember that the vital principle is the principle that gives life, regardless if there is the material or the spiritual body. So we are saying that the vital principle here is what gives life to the matter. The second part of our concept, of our nature, is the soul, or the material being, a spirit incarnated in the body. So this is our spirit. And then the third piece is the link that bonds the soul and the body. It's called perispirit. And we will learn more information about the perispirit moving forward. But this is, again, a concept that they wanted to bring to us since the very beginning. With regards to the spirit, they say that the spirits belong to different classes. And this is really important, especially by that time, because it's not because there is a spirit that this spirit is going to be good, or that this spirit is going to be bad. They are different, and we have to be careful about that, right? The other thing is that the spirits do not permanently belong to the same order. So if there is a spirit that is bad today, hopefully tomorrow that spirit will have already evolved. They are all destined to ultimately reach perfection by passing through the different degrees of the spirit hierarchy. The betterment takes place through incarnation. So they are already bringing here the concept of incarnation, but it's telling us that not only the spirit is ultimately going to evolve, but the betterment of the spirit happens through the incarnation. So with regards to the incarnation concept, we can incarnate many times, many times. We always incarnate as human race. So it's not because we are human today that in another life we're going to be, I don't know, a bear or something. That's not going to happen. We will always incarnate, especially because remember that the soul, in the concept that they are bringing here, keeps its individuality. And the incarnated spirit is under the complete influence of matters. So right now, our spirit is under the complete influence of the matter, which means that, again, if we have all of our vices, if we carry all of our passions, being incarnated will potentialize, will maximize those vices, therefore the need for us to overcome them for us to be able to progress. The third critical point that they bring to us, and I wanted to highlight here, is that, again, the communication can be imperceptible or obvious, for good or for bad influences. So if someone here says, oh, I am not a medium, I cannot communicate with spirits, my dear friend, that's wrong. You can, and you constantly do. You are constantly receiving ideas, and those ideas are suggestions that are coming from spirits. Now, if you are having a lot of thoughts that are pitiful, or they are harmful to someone, or that are bringing you stress, that are bringing you nervousness, that is bringing you something that is not harmonious, there is one level of spirits, that's the level of the spirits that is communicating to you. It's someone trying to tell you something that really bothers them, or they want to use to bother you. We can change that. It's totally explained in here. But one thing that they always say is that the spirits are attracted through empathy of the moral nature of those who contact them. So let's say that I am having this constant communication with spirits that are trying to influence me with thoughts of tension, of being nervous, of fighting with someone. It is my duty to stop that thought and realign my moral nature with the spirits on high. How? Through a good lecture, through reading a good book, singing. My personal thing is sing. Every time something happens in here, I stop everything. I pray. I ask for guidance, and I say, I do not want to have this type of communication. And I ask my mentor to guide, to protect me, for me to be able to tune myself with the high spirituality. And then I sing. You will see, friends, it is going to happen. And then again, as Allan Kardec told us on the first slide, if we have the goodwill, we will be able to do that. It is certain we will be able to do that. And then again, good reminder that language is a great differentiator between good and bad spirits. So again, if we are having an important thought that we want to share, and you're seeing that that's not a concise idea or something, let's be careful. Let's understand what that is coming from. And then Allan Kardec and the Spirits on High will invest 10 chapters under the introduction to explain everything for those who are objecting the study of the Spiritism. And at that point, it was extremely important for them, because they didn't know exactly what people, people were trying to detract the work that was being doing. And they wanted to explain that this was something extremely serious. Those who were scientists at that time wanted to analyze spiritism with the lens of science, with the lens of matter. And this is what they tell us. Physical sciences are based on the properties of matter. So not necessarily the science will be able to explain everything, that every concept that is being brought here. And it goes beyond this tangible observation, right? The facts that were accepted, proved, or disproved very frequently. The other thing is that Allan Kardec told us is that sometimes the scientists can be narrow-minded due to their specialty. So those who are mathematicians, they accept what algebra can prove, while a chemist refers everything to the action of the elements, and so on and so on. So here they are asking for us to open our mind to understand things that are new and not necessarily proved by the science of matter. So in contrast, contrast, phenomena created by spirits are an effect to the action of intelligent beings who have will on their own, or who continuously shows us that they are not subjected to our whims. So again, if we are trying to prove something by asking the spirits to do exactly what we say, turn this table to your right, not necessarily the spirits on high will spend their time just answering to those questions. They will be willing to do something that is different. So again, the spiritism is not something that we can replicate in a laboratory, because we are talking with intelligent beings. The other thing that he also brought to those objections, and I wanted to bring here, is the methodology that was created and used. So Allan Kardec in the book will explain in very details about the mediums, the format, the questions, who answers, who they would evoke, answers that were considered, answers that were dismissed, all to give us the certainty that the methodology used to create this book was extremely serious. So as I said, there are 10 chapters, many, many pages for us to read and understand how that was created. So if for whatever reason you are still thinking if we should trust in the book, go for this methodology, understand how that happened, and then again, feel free to bring here if you still have any question. And then to close or to start, they bring to us what it's called prolegomena. I don't know how to pronounce that word, but this means the introduction to something, to a book. So Allan Kardec will again bring back all the things that I just explained to all of you. It will bring back, but it will also reinforce that the goal of the book is not to, make anyone famous, but it is to educate and to enlighten the humankind and usher in a new era of renewal for humanity. So again, this is reminding us the importance of the moral transformation. They are bringing to us everything we need to know for us to be strong and change what needs to be changed. And then the spirits draw this very beautiful signa. And they say that this insignia, this is the insignia of God's work, and unites all the material elements that best symbolize the body and the spirit. So the stem represents the body. The juice is the spirit and the soul, or the union of the body and spirit. And the soul, or the union of the body and spirit, is the grape. Human beings refine the spirit through labor, and it is only through the physical labor of the body that the spirit acquires knowledge. So here in this book specifically, we are talking about knowledge. We are talking about transforming our thoughts, transforming our feelings. Remember that the gospel will help us with the how. How should we do that? And I just wanted to remind us about the Beatitudes that Jesus brought to us, for us to keep in mind about being peaceful, about being calm, about being forgiven. So this book is about the what, and the gospel is about the how. And the other very important thing that Allan Kardec was told from the spirits that I wanted to bring also to us is, do not be discouraged by critics. All who keep Jesus' teachings in their hearts will be united in the same love of goodness and will share a bond of brotherhood that will embrace the entire world. And I think it's beautiful because, we as humans usually we tend to stay away from those who are criticizing our work, right? We tend um, to put them away of something. And in here, the spirits are doing exactly the opposite. Each one has your own journey, and they are not willing to be against those who are criticizing. But instead, they are suggesting that we keep encouraged by the understanding that we have our goal of understanding the truth, and those who want to understand it will be under the same umbrella because we will keep the Jesus' teachings in their hearts. So regardless if they are applying, or even like if they do not believe, they will be able to just not harm, I would say. We all know that this is not how they start. This is not exactly how easy the story went, right? So if you have ever watched the movie about Allan Kardec, you will know a little bit more about what happened when this book was released. So it was set on fire. They tried not to make it happen, but they were so strong into their mission that the spirits are also able to support. And that is specifically action of setting the books on fire called even more attention to the book. So that was a good marketing, I would say, for people who were in other countries to start reading, and then it never came back again. So I would say the same for us in terms of being discouraged by the critics of our heart, or by the critics of our minds, because sometimes we are the ones stopping ourselves from evolving. So let us be careful with the thoughts that we apply in terms of what do I need to do for me to evolve. And then I just wanted to end here with something that the spirits also told Allan Kardec when he made himself available for this journey. They said, remember that good spirits only provide assistance to those who serve God with humility and impartiality. They reject all who use heavens as means of assessing earthly possession, and pull away from the proud and ambitious. Pride and ambition constitute a barrier between humankind and God. They hide the splendors of heavenly existence from humanity, and God cannot use the blind to enlighten others. It gives me chills. Just because it is reminding us that it's not because we are studying, it's not because we are here every Sunday. If you happen to be, congratulations, by the way. It's not because we are here that we should feel like we know better. Just by feeling that we know better, it might sparkle on us a sense of prideness that is not going to be good. Therefore, let us be humble. We are all still studying. And even if we know better, in terms of, I know better this topic, apply to ourselves. As St. Francis of Assisi said, preach the gospel all the time. Use words when necessary. So if we all want to be the living example of Jesus Christ, of course, we must first understand what that means, and that's why we have here the book, one of the books, but mostly be the live example of what Jesus would do. So if we are able to combine the study of the Spirit's book with the study of the gospel, we will be able to then apply the two wings that will enable our ascension to the higher realms, the knowledge and the charity and the love. Yeah, that's it, friends. That's what I wanted to share about the introduction of the Spirits book. If there's any question or anything that anyone would like to bring for us to further discuss, please feel free to do so. Oops. Yes, Charles, prolegomena is a preliminary discussion, introductory essay. Yes, strategize to serving. Yeah, Tina, thank you for coming.
So Kiki, it is a amazing introduction, and that's what we need for starting the new year, to enlighten our goal, our spiritual goal here is to progress. And nothing better to progress than know ourselves, no? And it's amazing the way Kardec organized all of this. Remember when he was invited, practically I was ready for him to organize. They did not know how to organize, but the spirits already has putting the mediums to work and all together, all the questions, and because they knew when that start the organization, we will mess with a lot of people and they will try to stop it. So over 150 years, we are here, thanks to them, thanks to that group of mediums, of families, and thanks to Allan Kardec to accept. No, and as we know, if he has not accepted, others was prepared to continue as we to continue the codification. So what is important message here now for me that I'm taking all my notes, and of course we have been studying so many times, but what is important for me here, it is to be open mind that when we say, and that is very touchful for me, it is that we do not belong here. More we have consciousness that we are not a human being, we are a spiritual being. And more conscious, we will have to progress. More force, more motivation, we will have to progress. More we will understand where I have come from, why I have been here for, why this pain, this illness, why to suffer so much, why this painful world that we live in wars, and we see and watch others suffering in front of our eyes, from our own family, from our own selves, and from our brothers and sisters all over there. And when we really manifest the divine goal of our Heavenly Father to all of us, to each of us, without exception, to love one another as we love ourselves. For me, I'm so thankful for being in a great connection with the divine spiritual goals, for this spiritual group, for this family, for us be able to understand a little more about our own selves. Thank you so very much. God bless you, sweetheart. Thank you.
No, I agree. The more that we study and learn about the fact that we are only here temporarily, to me, it helps with understanding these little things that we go through, the little sufferings or death even. That's the biggest thing for us, for the body to get through, no matter how much we learn and process this in our analytical mind, it's still a process that the body has to go through. But the more we learn and educate our bodies, it's still better. It's no matter what, it's grand. And it is good to know how, when, where. You know, I appreciated this lesson today because I don't have it all down pat. And it's a good reminder, you know, I just don't. And I like hearing it. So thank you so much.
Yeah, Kiki, once again, thank you so much for your effort to really bring to us this clarity and explanation about such important book or the contribution of Spiritism to our evolvement. I just wanted to highlight that you brought up the three pillars of the Spiritism, which is the three books that you mentioned. But I just want to remind you that actually we have five pillars, the two other books that are so important as well. But of course, it's a combination, is a progressive. The Spiritist doctrine is a progressive or body of information or knowledge, and that it will continue to evolve as we improve our ability to understand. And also that every question of the book is for our reflection, just like every example of Jesus, every word that he said is for us to reflect and to understand, and not only to reflect, but also to contemplate so we can have a better understanding. But I appreciate you. Thank you so much, and Happy New Year to everybody. Thank you.
Thank you, Charles. And for those who, so the five books that Charles was mentioning, the five books that Allan Kardec did was the Gospel, the Spirit's book, the Medium's book, and then there is Heaven and Hell, and the Genesis. And agree with you, brother. Those are not only extremely important, but they also have such dense information that we'd better study the other three before we go to these other two. But agree, they are extremely important.
Well, one day I hope to graduate from kindergarten.
We all do. We all do, right?
What is good is for 3 years or more, no, we have been studying the gospel every year repetitively. And so to be able to preparing our soul to be open for this now, even though we have been studying have a studying group of the Spiritist book, but it is always, every time when Chico Xavier said, never read a book once, read more and more. He said, since the first time he had the gospel at home and the gospel of Spiritism in his hand, before even open the book, he knew every word inside that. So he never stopped before 20 years old to until 90 years old. He passed, I think, 92, but until he could read the book, he would never stop reading the Gospel according to Spiritism. And now the Spiritist codification. So he said every time he read, he learned something new. So that is what we most make an effort now to study, not just read. Thank you again.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's interesting because the book, the answers are so straightforward. The answers, there are some questions that are as simple as this and that, and you're like, okay. So as Charles was saying, it's not only about contemplating, but it's like really reflecting, what does it mean? And for those who don't know me, I work with a data company, and it's just the same. It's not about what the data is telling, but like, what does it mean? How, like, what is the sense that it makes in my life? And I think that this is the type of reflection that we must apply whenever reading these books. Yeah.
Thank you, Kiki, for this nice presentation.
Amen.
And you spoke about the best subject, spirit and soul, and that is very nice. But what I wanted to say is that only to read the books cannot show us and make us understanding about the spirit that we have within us. We should, the books are like a map. They show us where we should go, but we have to go ourselves, within us, because it's the soul spirit is within us. We should know that. That is visible. That is like the air that we breathe. We cannot see, but we feel that. We see how it works in us. And it's so important. Thank you very much for your explanation. Thank you.
I think today our brother Charles always putting a message, a daily message from in our group, the Workers of the Light. And by the way, anyone who wish to be a part of this group and WhatsApp group is a Workers of the Light. You just put in your number on the chat, and so we will add you to our group. You'll be very welcome to join us. I believe today, do you have the message today, Charles? And when they said more, the words that have power, and it's like more you meditate on that, it's like an individual entity. The words, the desires, like individual entities, for good or for bad. If you notice, no, if you notice the words, the good words, they will be bigger and bigger and bigger. So it will help you to go through the good path. And so motivate you to be positive, to grow, to enlighten yourself, or the opposite. It's very interesting. Like you said, my son, let we manifest, let we be a good example, not just read and study, but let we be an example, that we materialize the teachings in our daily life. Beautiful. Thank you.
Is there anyone else? If not, I'm going to stop the recording.